And welcome back. Today we're going to have a very quick conversation about her, the Ricoh GR3X. Now, as you probably know, the GR3 and the GR3X only differ for their focal length. In this case, the X is a 40 millimeter equivalent focal length, while the GR3 has a 28 millimeter equivalent focal length. Other than that, the cameras are pretty much identical. Now, I chose the X just because for the way I wanted to use it, it felt like it was the best option for me, but that's a very personal preference. Now, let me start with saying that I have always dismissed this camera because it didn't have a viewfinder. It didn't have an articulating screen. It didn't have the physical control that I'm used to with my Fujifilm cameras. I basically dismissed it because it wasn't an X100V. And boy, I was wrong. I was definitely wrong. This camera, look at the size of this camera. It stays in my palm pretty easily. It's just super small. This camera is impressive. Now, of course, this is not gonna be a full review, because I've been using this camera for what, 3 weeks now, and I've been sick half of it, so I haven't used it as much as I wanted. But I can already tell you that this camera is the camera that you want to have with you when you're wandering around, when, like, if on an urban environment, you're on your commute between home and work and back. This camera is basically perfect because it's very small, it's super lightweight, and it's very quick. Like, look at how quick it is to turn on. Let me just, okay, 3, 2, 1, already operational. And for modern cameras that are overly complicated often, this is refreshing. Also, what is refreshing is an easy one-ended operation camera, because you have a wheel over here, a wheel here in the, it's not a wheel, it's a knob here that you can go left or right, and then you have another wheel over here in the back to operate the camera. And then you have a very responsive touch screen here on your display. And all of that makes this camera super easy to operate with one hand, which is something it's basically almost impossible with any other camera. Now, why did I get interested in this camera in the first place? It is because of my test with the Sony R1X Mark II. I thought that camera would make more sense because it had more physical controls, it had a viewfinder and all of that. But I ended up using it as if I didn't have the viewfinder, and the physical control were not as convenient in that specific camera. So I started thinking, well, I got used to use that camera without those things that I felt were super important to me. So why not give it a try to the Ricoh? And boy, it's a great camera. It's a great camera. It's stabilized and it's got a really good stabilization. It's perfect for black and white. I don't feel like I've found the color combination that suits my needs just yet. I brought it on a quick hike, and yes, it takes good pictures, but the colors, I'm used to those Velvia colors from Fuji, and I need to work on it. But I know I'm gonna be able to fine tune it the way I like it. And for all the rest, this goes in your pocket. This comes with you with ease. With any other camera, you need to have at least a bag to carry it. But this one, as long as it's not summer and you're only wearing a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, this one fits everywhere. It's basically just a bit bigger than a Sony RX 100, but it's got an APS-C sensor size on the inside, and it's a very capable one. It's a 24 megapixel. I'm not gonna be too technical in this video because there's plenty of review. The camera is not new at all, so there's plenty of review. And Samuel L. Street Life has a huge coverage of the Ricoh system. Same goes for Sean Tiger. Go watch their videos. They covered them at will, and they're great videos. But for what I can tell, this camera is way more impressive than I thought when I saw it coming out. I was always interested, but there was something that didn't convince me at all. I changed my mind. I'm planning on using this camera a lot more. I'm planning on using it on any urban environment, any family environment, because it's inconspicuous. People don't look at you, don't see you, and you are pretty much free to use it at will. You're gonna look like on the streets, you're gonna look like a tourist. No one's gonna really care about you. And for someone who wants to shoot streets and want to shoot candid, you don't, I mean, you're not focused on shapes, you're not too much focused on shapes and light and shadows, but you really focused on capturing the moment without interfering with it, without having people to change the way they're behaving just because they saw that you have a camera. A camera like this is really great. And the fact that it doesn't have a viewfinder, it kind of help, because when people see someone with a viewfinder bringing the camera to the viewfinder, they think that's something serious happening there. But when camera like this, you look like a tourist. No one really care about you, and that's how you get pictures that you are not interfering with. I know it seems stupid, it seems naive, that a camera can affect your type of shooting, but it really is. It really is. And I'm not saying you have to buy this camera. You gotta understand whether this camera is or is not for you. What I'm saying is, it's a very interesting camera, and if you like me, you have always considered the lack of the viewfinder, the physical controls, the articulating screen, all of those bells and whistles as something important. Well, think twice, because this camera makes a lot of sense. I haven't tried video. I've heard that the video is trash, so I'm not really bothered with video. I will try it for my full review. I will give it a try, but I don't really care. This, to me, is a photography camera. It's a very snapshot photography type of camera, and in that it excels. I'll leave you to a couple of pictures that I shot with this camera just because I had it with me. I was just wandering around and I could take these pictures. Not that they're great, but I wouldn't have taken those pictures because I don't like shooting with my phone, and those pictures would have never happened just because I didn't have a camera with me. And that's where this camera makes a lot of sense. That's it for today. It was, as I said, very short and very just random thoughts thrown in there, but I wanted to share them with you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. I will push more video on this camera, and I will push more video on other cameras. Actually, I have a pretty heavy schedule for the next weeks. That's it. Bye, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.